So, let us go through some Reddit things. Let's see. The first one, I'm not even looking. I'm not looking. First one's gonna be stoicism. Yes, it is. Is it bad that I'm always suspicious of kind acts that are recorded? What does that are recorded mean? Does it mean that you get recorded all the fucking time? Well, then when I mean, if this is the case, well, I'm just gonna read the post anyway. Let's see. I'm very sorry if this isn't allowed here, but as the title suggests, is it bad? For me, kindness is something you do without wanting anything in return, to just be a good human being. But recording it and posting it online, there we go, doesn't sit right with me. Don't get me wrong, I think what they do is needed, like helping people in need, but when they post it online, I feel as if they try to manipulate the emotional side of human compassion and get validation, such as likes. Again, I'm no way hating this, it's just that at first glance I ask, why is the person recording this? Thanks for any insight. Well, I do think, the thing is, some people are gonna act kindly for the sake of acting kindly. Some people are gonna do it for the validation, some people are gonna do it for the likes, even, for the social currency. Being liked and being viewed, I don't want to underline that 100 times, viewed as a kind person and as a generous and as a good person, doesn't mean that they are a good person whatsoever. Anyway, there's certain reasons why people do that, but I wouldn't necessarily put that on a pedestal, but I would rather say, okay, you're doing something good. That is amazing. Leaving it out might not as well be the best thing to do, don't get me wrong here, because, it feels differently and it is as well something different if you're just doing it for the sake of being viewed as somebody of worth online or something. Of course it is something different, but let's put emphasis on the act itself, on what people do and not why they do it, maybe, Yeah, let's actually see what comments are saying. I go back and forth. On one hand, I think what the other commenter said, that it's self-serving. Well, yeah, it is, but does it really matter, Does it really matter whether it is self-serving? And yes, okay, you can get a lot of likes and a lot of money because of that, but still, why do certain companies donate? Why do people even talk about donating? You don't have to say that you donated, you don't have to tell anybody. I think that most people would talk about those things, those kind things that they did with other people. In terms of, okay, you did something amazing, you've been pretty kind, I do think that quite a lot of people are gonna come up to a friend, to their mom, any other family member and whatnot, and be like, well, this is what I did today. And it's the same thing, basically online, basically, not necessarily, but sometimes basically. Anyway, on the other hand, it's spreading positivity, it promotes kindness. Yes, this is also what I thought about. Even though the intention might not be correct, quote unquote, you're still promoting it and you're still just putting the word out and you're still showing that you can do something like that as well and that people should do something like that as well. Social media is so incredibly dark and divided already. Do we really need to be so cynical over a kind act also being shared? If it's self-serving, then you could argue anything is, including mine and your comments, except at least something positive is created in those records. Yeah, quite as well. It's definitely self-serving if you are pissed about something and if you are complaining about something, whatever it might be, but you're still doing it, for example, online because you, on one hand, of course, you want to just get thoughts from other people, which I think is pretty valuable and one should, really leverage this, because we all can, because we all can go on Reddit and ask something and then can get sometimes pretty good advice and or at least thoughts from people that know their stuff. Sometimes know their stuff. Of course, everything should be taken with a grain of salt, but sometimes there's actually people online that do know their craft, and they do know their shit, and it is amazing, that we have access to them. Anyway, I think as well that, I don't know what I want to say. One trend that I've seen is when a group of kids give the poor student new clothes or shoes. Each time the poor kid is brought to tears, and everyone around them has a beaming smile on their face. The opposite of bullying. Kids see this on social media and want to replicate it. It's not just for the self-serving purpose, it's also to be kind. Well, yeah, I mean, I do get the overall question, like, why don't you just do it? And, why do you have to post it, Well, wow, what a great answer. This is the way I didn't even know I felt about this until I read your comment. Which is the beauty about other people's opinions and about talking to other people, Sometimes other people are capable of verbalizing and or writing things so that you understand what you think as well. Like, yeah, it obviously depends on the person that you're talking with. I mean, if you're talking to a person that, on one hand, you're just not really believing in, and or you don't find, pretty credible or whatnot, then yeah, listening to this person is gonna be, or talking to this person and listening to their thoughts is not gonna serve anybody quite, But on the other hand, there's a lot of people that do know that shit and that we are listening to, because of whatever reason you're listening to this person. It should be a good one, but it makes sense. It makes sense to talk to people, and it makes sense to ask for opinions, because 2 eyes see more. Well, 4 eyes see more than 2, and 2 eyes see more than 1. Yeah, and also the perspective is going to be different. Altruism is egoistic because he wants to feel better by helping others. It is a win-win situation. Yeah, in the end. Then there are the people that sacrifice themselves for someone else. They might be the real deal. The arguments I've read on whether altruism truly exists or not are quite interesting. But those people who legit martyr their own life for others, living and or dying sometimes almost wholly for another person or people, those stand out to me as heroes who lived and died with true altruism in their hearts, and I don't think I could ever be swayed in that thinking. Well, somebody has to really be obsessed with something so that you actually are willing to die for something. One could actually say that this is kind of some clinical condition and shit, but yeah. On the other hand, it is spreading positivity, it promotes kindness. For me, an act of kindness is an act of kindness. It doesn't have to be selfless. Yeah, this is true. Sure, selfless kindness without any acceptation of recognition is more admirable, but it doesn't take away from the act if someone wants to get some notoriety or the kudos from doing something kind. One of the things that bothers me the most is when someone wealthy, Bill Gates for example, donates a couple of $1 million to a cause, and on social media people dismiss it, saying he could have done so much more. It feels so cynical to criticize someone that's done more than you ever will. Well, on one hand, yeah, okay, this person is probably gonna do more than I will ever do. Maybe, who knows? But yeah, I think focusing on the act itself is a pretty good thing quite often. I do have to actually look for ways in which this is not true, especially when it comes to something negative. I can't think that through now, so maybe I'm going to talk about it in some other episode. Books like Donna Tartt's Secret History. Well, gonna skip that one for sure. My journey to the alt-right and me leaving it. I come from basically the exact background you'd expect for an alt-right type. overwhelmingly white, low income, rural, etc. Oh, I see. Pretty interesting. By around 2014, I started to hold grudges against women. My mom, and she's admitted to this, went harder on me than she did my sisters. When my folks divorced, my mom basically used me as a go-between. What? As a go-between, so she didn't have to talk to my dad. You guys can imagine the stress and resentment that builds when your mom makes you convey her anger and problems with your dad to him. Sometimes she'd make me be the one to remind him he was late on child support or that he had to pay something that, to be honest, she should have paid. When I was 15, I suffered a groin hernia because my mom made me cry. What? Because my mom made me carry her chest of drawers upstairs and didn't offer help because men lift heavy stuff. My sisters have always been difficult people, not bad, just difficult or indifferent towards me. Always felt like I loved them more than they loved me. Growing up, especially in my late teens, I was just so angry and resentful towards women, which I think at that point, to some degree, is understandable. Pretty much every man I knew seemed like they'd been turned into a worse version of themselves by women, especially ex-wives. In retrospect, I think it's more a two-way thing, but at 17 I didn't see it like that. I just knew I didn't want to be like them. I carried a lot of mistrust and resent towards women to the point I'd decided to myself that I'd never get married because to me, getting divorced and financially ruined was just a foregone conclusion to marriage. Which actually, by the way, quite often is. I mean, it is a 50-50 chance, or it is 50-50. I mean, 50% get divorced. Anyway, around the 2016 election cycle, especially between late 2015 and summer 2016, I felt alienated and like not only was nothing going for me, but like nothing ever would go right for me. I just gone through a tough breakup. That time period really heated up politics in elections, culture, and social issues. I felt increasingly like I wasn't being heard, like everyone just either wanted to call me a Nazi or on one side or just reaffirmed everything on the other side. Naturally, I gravitated towards the other side because it's kind of hard to take the side of people telling you your very existence is toxic. A lot have happened since then. Don't worry, I never committed a hate crime or anything like that, didn't join any gangs or militias, but I was just so angry. Anyway, that breakup I said about, the girl who broke my heart came back into my life, not as a girlfriend again, but I'd known her a really long time. She was a good friend. I don't know if she took pity on me or what, but she started hanging out with me a lot. I felt ashamed to mention how I had changed since our breakup. Add that to all the turmoil going on politically and I just couldn't anymore. I hated myself for being so angry and always jumping on whatever position seemed popular on my side. I felt dirty and like I needed rehab or something. Anyway, here I am now. My politics are much more centered now, and I'm trying to ditch my hang-ups on some stuff. I've definitely come a long way in the last 5 or so years. I just wanted to share my story and that some compassion towards people you know who seem lonely can go a long way, even if it's just one really long but meaningful conversation. Heck, even if just via text messages. A lot of people, I think, can be pulled off this path by just being acknowledged as people who aren't evil, and some of us have hard lives, and we just gravitated towards the first people who seemed like they were willing to listen and notice us. Which makes sense, by the way. Now, I will say I've definitely shared my negativity towards women. I know it is not a woman thing, it is a some people just suck thing. Yeah, true. I forced myself to start giving to charity and helping people out doing stuff, and honestly, it's made me feel a lot better. Feel all around better. My advice to people wanting to defeat this evil moment is just try reaching out, even within your family. Do you have a sibling or cousin, even who is a bit of a loner, doesn't seem to talk much, has been single a long time? Just get in touch with them. Don't ask them for anything, just make it a conversation of just two people who love each other, connecting and talking just so they know they matter to someone. The feeling of not mattering absolutely made me my most vulnerable. Amazing thing. And without adding too much, actually, I want to end the episode there. I wish you the best and see you soon. Stay safe.